Welcome to Acquiring Customers with myself, Dante and James, and a little bit of input from my friends at startups.com. We're going to be looking at the whole process and the theories behind how you can attract more customers for your particular business online and offline as well, with a few great techniques that are very tried and trusted throughout many industries over definitely the last 20 years. A quote from Warren Buffett, one of the world's richest people, is it's not necessary to do extraordinary things to get extraordinary results. And that's in his case, it was little bits at a time, incremental growth, incremental change, and a way of getting the most he could out of doing different things that were very, very standard. There wasn't much that he did that was completely outstanding or different in order to make his fortune. Who this is for today is for those who are wanting to start a business and wanting to get some ideas about how that starting process may go for them, particularly in acquiring that first little bit of customer base. And it's also for those who have a business and they would like to grow that business. This is presented by Business Station and the Australian Small Business Advisory Services Digital Solutions Program in association with Regional Development Australia out of Brisbane for Queensland and Treaty Business Consulting out of Darwin for the Northern Territory. My name's Dante and James. I've done some work with startups.com, a lot of study with them and some contribution of material for them. I work with business consulting company Treaty in the Northern Territory. I've got memberships with the Australian Computer Society, Australian Marketing Institute. I'm an NBN business accredited advisor and work with both Facebook and Google programs such as Facebook's lead trainer program and Google's digital springboard program, as well as working in a whole bunch of programs providing advice and startup stuff, particularly for businesses through the Northern Territory government and its business innovation program and business growth programs. So there's 4 phases of what we call customer acquisition, the process of getting customers on board. The first stage is how to build an audience, which is very important because you build customers out of building an audience. We look at using newsletters, email newsletters to build, I guess, a base of news that's going to be present across all those people you're hoping to reach or who have had some expression of interest in the product you're working with. Then we look at social media and its ability to amplify your message out to a much broader audience. And then finally, we look at what paid advertising or paid acquisition is going into the digital platforms, but not just digital platforms. We can also look at some of the more traditional platforms as a way of reaching large audiences for a paid contract, a paid method. There is no magic formula so much for building an audience. Now, a lot of Instagram influencers will have their magical way of them building an audience. Some Facebook consultants, some TikTok growth experts. There's actually a whole industry of TikTok growth experts out there already. And they're the kind of people who will tell you there is this one formula. They've got this one secret formula they want to sell you. There is no secret formula to this. This is a very tried and tested formula that has worked for hundreds, if not thousands, if not tens of thousands of startups growing out of Silicon Valley, growing out of Australia's startup ecosystem, and in many places all over the world. It's particularly noticeable in some of the large startup hubs like Berlin in Germany, Tel Aviv in Israel, and other centers such as the Fairfax County area of the United States, and Sydney, which is the big startup hub in Australia. The formula is pretty much about being consistent. You've got to keep following your formula day after day and be very systematic about it. It's not a series of tricks or hacks or sexy little graphics from Canva in some way that are going to make you cut through in ways that no one else has been able to cut through before. It's about being consistent and going back with a rather unsexy formula day after day, week after week, month after month, and year after year. What it's mostly about, though, and there's one thing that most of us in a startup ecosystem and starting a new business can't seem to get our heads around, is it's also about being patient. It won't happen overnight like the old Pantene ad used to say, but it will happen. Now, of course, it can happen overnight, but the vast majority of businesses don't have it happen overnight. You ask almost every successful business owner, particularly in Australia, particularly in small business that's growing, they will tell you that nothing happened overnight. It took a lot of hard work and a lot of consistency and a believing and following and trusting the process to get to the point where their business did actually become a success. So what is the audience building formula? What is the formula you go about that helps you to build an audience that you can turn later into a paid customer for your startup business? Well, first of all, start with friends who are going to listen to you. Now, this is probably a really important place to go, like friends and family, because they can be quite brutal in their feedback. If you show them something, now they can be one of two things. They can be very, very much dishonest about their feedback, but they can also be quite brutal about their feedback. If they're being dishonest about their feedback, you'll be able to pick on it pretty easily. You're not stupid after all. But people who are really, really out there and brutally honest, they're not there to insult you. They're not there to give you some kind of discouragement to tell you to stop doing it and to dream of some other dream. They're really there as, I guess, the messenger of what you need to understand that is wrong with your process or wrong with the way you're approaching things. The beauty about approaching friends and family is that they are a soft landing. They're a place where you can start that doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to stop you short and go, no, this is terrible. They'll give you feedback. They know you. They love you. Next, we look at repeating that message again and again and again. By repeating the message a number of times, we're giving ourselves the chance to refine that message. We're giving ourselves a chance for that message to get out there. The story comes from when I first started my own business in Darwin some years ago, that I placed a TV ad at a very, very low rate in what they call distressed inventory. So it wasn't in prime time. It wasn't during expensive, high rating shows. It was just at a time when, it could be during daytime, during those daytime Bold and the Beautiful hours, or it could be during things like the View or The Circle or any of those sort of shows, which are not viewed by a lot of people all at once. Now, the key to being able to get that message out to a number of people meant that it had to be repeated again and again. That TV ad that ran had to run a long time, again and again and again. High repetition, or what they call high frequency in the television land. But it's a way of reaching as many people as you can over and over again, so the message starts to sink in. In my own case, that particular message didn't sink in until well after about week number 6. I said I've got no response to that ad at all for the first 6 weeks. And on week 7, I had 15 calls drop in. Was it magic? No. It was just simply giving that message time to sink in, to be seen, to be understood, to be seen again, to be further understood, and then finally to start hitting that core lot of people who found that message was relevant to them. We also look and focus in getting people to share our message. That's building a fan base. That's building not just an audience, but building a group of people who are willing to do that promotion for you. That's, yes, largely done through social media, but in the real world, that can be done in such areas as networking groups, business associations, or just in circles of friends. It could be the mums picking up kids after the school. It could be the dads down at the men's shed. It could be anything in a church group, in a sports group, anything like that. You can find people are willing to share your message when they become fans of what you do. Or they're the people who love you and believe in what you're doing. Or they could just simply be aware that there's something good about what you're doing and they believe in the message as well. Even if they're not necessarily buying it, they do believe in it. And of course, there's that big one that most people fall down on when they do start up and they try to build an audience, is to learn the value of patience. We want it today. We want a return on investment tomorrow, and we want that to be 100% or that's complete failure. So we'll explore some of that a little bit more. We're going to explore with starting with your friends. Now, this is the standard network marketing technique, I guess, is that go and sell your friends and your family and get in front of them and I know, get them on the scheme, get them all bought into it, get them signed up, and then you get all these people down your down leg. And look, we're not looking at that. What we're looking at doing is using your friends as a place to start with. Now, we're not telling you to get them to buy your product. We're not telling you to sign them up. You start with your friends as that soft place to land. It's a place where they're people who know you, they're people who probably like you, I'm guessing, if they're friends and family, and they're probably a lot more willing to give you honest feedback. They can be a good guinea pig area. If you're working with something like a book, if you're writing a book, if you're writing a training program, a coaching system, it's really good to be able to test this out on friends and family who have at least some vague interest in what you're doing, because they'll pick out things like, your spelling mistakes, things that aren't clear, any sort of marketing messages you may have that don't quite hit the mark. They're very good people to do that, and they'll do it before you go much further out in the world where you've got lots and lots of people all giving you feedback that's sometimes quite brutal. The brutal feedback from family is coming from love. The brutal feedback from the World Wide Web is not necessarily going to come from a place of love. When you start with your friends, you're starting with a test run. Think of it as the laboratory that you're working in. Before you go out and sell that special formula to the world, you're testing it out on your friends and family. Now, as I said, they don't have to buy what you're doing. They don't have to sign in with what you're doing. You just have to make them aware of something you're doing. And the reason for this is that your friends and family don't only know you. They know a whole bunch of people all out there in the world, whether it's through their social media platforms, whether it's through their social networks in the real world, through the associations they are part of, through the business networking that they may be part of, through the school groups, the mums groups, the dads groups, the kids after school care groups, all those areas where they have their touch points. You get to your family and friends first with your message and making sure it's very clear what that message is, simply because they can then do some of that marketing for you. How many times have we had it come up in our lives where somebody has started a new business, say in interior decorating, and it could be something where you've told someone that you're doing interior decorating and they're a member of your family, and they go, oh, I know that Rachel, she's actually looking at the moment to do some renovations at home. I'll have a chat to her, see what she's looking to do. And next thing you know, you're chatting with Rachel about doing interior redecorating there. So there's some really good ways to make sure that you've got access to be able to get to that network of all the people that you know and their broader networks, is by letting them know what it is you do. Starting with family and friends makes a lot of sense. And then there's repetition. Now, with family and friends, that repetition could be as simple as popping in and, having conversations with them every so often, making sure that they know where you're up to and you know where they're up to, and if they've had any friends that have expressed any interest. Now, this doesn't have to be formalized, such as, oh, hey, mom, just ringing to see if you told any friends about me yet. It's not quite that unnatural. It's a bit more organic than that. It's more of a case of when you go and see friends, you're out to coffee and you're going, oh, you know how you talked about Rachel who needed to get that renovation stuff done? Do you have a number? Because I wouldn't mind giving her a call to see if there's something I can help with. And in that case, it'd be like, okay, it feels a little bit more natural rather than having a specific meeting with someone with the express purpose of talking to them about getting that on board. Or then it could be something else that's as simple as repeating your message to your family and friends when you see them, in that they ask you, oh, so how have you been? I said, oh, yeah, really, really well. That business has started up a couple of months ago. It's actually starting to get some momentum now. I've managed to, convince a few people that I know what I'm doing. And they may ask something such as, well, tell us what it is that you're doing. Tell us what it is, and explain what it is you're supposedly doing so that we can sort of help you out a bit. That's what you want. You want that curiosity to come back from your family and friends and anybody else who you happen to talk to about your particular product or service that you're starting up. Repetition is the name of the game when it comes to any kind of marketing. It is very, very common in television and radio, where they call it reach and frequency. Reach and frequency is all about reaching the maximum amount of people, the maximum amount of times that you can afford to with the budget you've got. Now, I'm assuming that when you're doing a startup, you're not going to have much of a budget. You've probably got zero budget. So this is where your reach and frequency becomes the reach of your personal network and the frequency of your ability to talk with people in your network about what it is you're doing. So if you're starting up your own digital marketing agency and you want to start doing Facebook page management for people and posting and doing ads for them, then it's worthwhile letting people know that, because everybody's got Facebook practically. So if they've got Facebook, you can say, hey, I started that business. Well, it's all about doing this for businesses. Do you know anyone who seems to be looking for this kind of stuff, or any businesses that got really crap social media? And it could be even more natural than that. It could be quite simply that when you catch up with friends and they ask you how that business is that you've got going, you say, look, to be honest, it's really slow. It's taken a bit of time to get the thing moving. What I really need more than anything is just some kind of idea of how I can get to people who are having trouble with their social media. And then, someone might go, well, I don't know. I don't really know any business owners. We're all just employees. We're around my network. Or it could be someone sitting at that table who says, hey, you know what? I know someone. And then that's the beginning of acquiring a new customer. That's the beginning of at least following up that lead and having a conversation with someone that could lead to being a customer in the future. Then we move to sharing and sharing alike, which is step 3. And this is very, very much about sharing your story, sharing what you do, and leveraging your network of people. So that's your friends, your family, particularly on social media, because this is where it's having its most powerful effects, is being able to share your message and then having your friends share your message for you. Now, that is definitely easier said than done. It will come down, like, as you know, people aren't just constantly sharing the messages of their friends and the messages of their friends who own businesses. It's kind of creepy when people do that. We're talking about the ability for you to be able to create content that actually matches the kind of things that your friends would share. Thinking about memes, we're thinking about videos, we're thinking about something that isn't necessarily all about you going, hey, I'm a business owner. I need customers. Here's what I do. Here's how you engage me. I'll speak to you now. We're not talking about something quite that non-organic. We're talking about something that's so much more natural. It's about talking to the problems that your potential customers may have and putting it in a format that people like your family and friends will be willing to share with other people. Now, you go one of 3 different ways with that. You could go down a path of making it funny and entertaining. It can be very difficult to do that if you're not naturally fun and entertaining. And it's probably one of the hardest ways to go about it. And it's why, TikTok has taken off so much, because it's so funny and so entertaining and so informative and very short, sharp, and very to the point. It's very hard to see how any of that will be tying back to a product that you can possibly buy. So if you're not going to choose funny and entertaining, you can go down the path of making something that's like, did you know? Now, let's say, for instance, that you are selling a skincare product, and that skincare product is made from all natural bush food based superfood ingredients, such as things like kakadu plum or lily pilly, or one of the native bush foods, bush tomato, things like that, as something that's sort of infused into this particular kind of skincare regime. How you could paint that is by saying, did you know that there is a bunch of superfoods that are native to Australia that can be eaten, taken as a tea, or even put into a great skincare range in order to help you to get better skin without all the harsh, nasty outside chemicals. So those sort of did you know videos are shared absolutely, like, really widely, from things like Nas Daily through to the ASPCA lost dog videos being rescued, that sort of stuff. The did you know, or things like, for instance, top 5 facts, top 10 facts, anything that is like a did you know is always fascinating to someone. And they're very, very easy to make in tools like Canva, in tools like InVideo or Lumen 5, which are kind of like the video versions of Canva, or Crello, which is another animated Canva-like building of graphics and videos for social media. And they can be put together in templates. So it makes it kind of easy for you to do it. If you can do a top 5 or here's the top 3 reasons why you should go on holiday this year if you're a travel agent, then those sort of things are powerful to be able to be shared, because they feel like content and they don't feel like ads. So that when you're making that content and you're sharing it with your friends, they're much more likely to share it on, because it is actually interesting. It's got some interest to it beyond you just trying to sell a service. You can always brand it throughout it. You can brand it at the end. The whole point is, at this stage, we're trying to grow an audience so then we can develop a customer base from that particular audience. And sharing on social media is certainly the most common and the most effective way to amplify that message out. And then the one we all hate, because none of us have got this, is patience, young Padawan, patience. It takes time. It really does. You cannot expect to do this, make this video and go viral overnight the first time. So few people have done it. TikTok has given us, and things like Instagram Reels have given us this unrealistic expectation that all we have to do is produce a really cool video and that it's going to blow up on TikTok or go viral on YouTube and it's going to take over the world straight away. It simply doesn't happen like that. Yeah, sure. Okay. It has happened before with a very few people, but we're talking about, 1,000 people out of about 2.7 billion people that have had these things go completely viral and made them rich. It's probably not going to happen for you or I anytime soon, but we can maximize our chance of getting there by taking these formulas to build really good content that grows out to become good promotional content that your friends and your family can share, and that people who know you can share beyond just your network of people, and then do it again, and then do it again, and then do it again, and then do it again. At some point, something that you're going to do is going to cut through. An example of something I did was to do a series of videos through my previous digital agency, ClickStarter. Now, one of the videos I made were all about, did you know facts about the internet? Did you know facts about these particular social media platforms? And I did 1, 2, 3, probably 17 different videos of this over 17 weeks. And I was getting 3, 4, 5, top of maybe 20 views on any video on social media. No one seemed to be interested. Until I made a did you know about a particular market, and that market was Alice Springs, and there was little facts about Alice Springs. Did you know that Alice Springs has a population of this made up of this demographic? Did you know that Alice Springs has a higher per capita number of businesses for the population than anywhere else in regional Australia? Like those kind of facts. That went viral. Now, by viral, I meant like Northern Territory viral. I'm not talking about millions. I'm talking about tens of thousands of views. So I went from a top of 20 views to tens of thousands. Like I'm talking about 38,000 views of a particular video, because I just happened to hit the right topic at the right time, and it just seemed to work. Now, I repeated that formula with a couple of other markets. I did one about Cairns. I did one about Busselton in WA. I did another one about Broome, another one about Darwin. None of them did as well as that Alice Springs one did, but it was a formula that I hit on that did work. It definitely didn't get me just 10 or 20 views anymore. They were definitely in the thousands now. Did I get 38,000 views for all of them? No, I didn't. But I got well over 6,000 views for all of them, which was a much bigger improvement. But I wouldn't have known to get there unless I took that time to test a whole bunch of stuff. I just tested things that are about the actual stuff I was selling, tested did you know videos about, or explainer videos about the products I was selling, did you know and explainer videos about me? And it wasn't until I actually hit something that actually got into the minds of people who were in certain places like Alice Springs. There's not even 38,000 people in Alice Springs, mind you, that I finally hit the jackpot and found that formula. Now, it didn't work forever. I had to keep being patient and going, well, this is going to work for now, but it's not going to work forever. I need to do something else. And then I was back down before I knew it to 50 to 100 views. Still better than 20 views, 50 to 100. And then I hit another mini viral video a little bit further down the track, which was all about how to spot scammers when it comes to buying a website online. That one got up to about 24,000 views. And then it dropped off again. So if I did these on how to spot this, how to find this, how to know if someone's lying to you about blah, those kind of explainer videos, they also ran their course. So I had to keep going and going and going on ideas. So I'd have this peak of lots of viewers and a bit of a trough again, but the trend line was always up. I never went back to that 3 to 4 to 5 to 20 video views ever again. It was always well over the thousands by now for that particular brand as I was in control of it. Things have changed now, obviously. Priorities have changed and the viewing habits of people changed. what the key message that always will be there is you have to be patient with these things. It's not going to happen in a week. It may happen in a month, but it's probably not going to happen then either. It may happen within 3 months, but it's more likely to happen within 6 months. And it's definitely much more likely to happen within a year. In fact, most marketing efforts you'll go to when they come to the online sphere can take up to 12 months to really start to get in there. That's because if you're coming from a dead stop, from a blank canvas, and no one knows who you are, to trust you, they need to get to know you. To get to know you, they need to be exposed to messages about you. And you're going to have to pay for these things. You're not always going to be able to do it in such a way that it's free and organic. You're going to have to get it in front of a target audience one day. Because as anyone who knows that's got like 50,000 followers on Instagram, that doesn't equate to 50,000 people knocking on your door ready to buy your products. That's pretty much half of them are bots, another quarter of them are other businesses, and the remaining quarter are potentially customers, but probably not in your market. So if you realize that when you blow things up on the internet, it doesn't necessarily equate to customers straight away. But if you can get the right message in front of the right people, and it just so happens to get into other people's inboxes and into their feeds as well, that's great. But getting the right message in front of the right people a number of times, not just once, is what's going to lead you to get that result over a period of time. I'd like to say it'll happen in a month. Probably won't. 3 months, maybe. 6 months, possibly. 12 months, you're going to have a result of some sort by then. But by then, when I say getting a result, doesn't mean getting your first customer is going to take you 12 months. Certainly not. It just means getting that steady stream, that sales funnel, that steady stream of people coming into the top and working down the get to know you funnel until they drop out the bottom as a customer. That will take time. But once you start it and you keep that momentum going, there's nothing to stop that funnel continually to run, continuing to fill up and drop out new customers, dripping through all the time. So will you have 1 million people drop through in your first year? Probably not, but you may have 1,000 people drop through. Will you convert all thousands of them? No, you won't. You maybe convert about 100 of them. That's still 100 more than you got right now. So the key takeaway of this particular part of it is, in order for our early marketing to ever work, we have to commit to sticking to it for at least 6 months, possibly even 12 months before we see anything in the terms of meaningful results. If we quit sooner than that, we're guaranteeing that we're going to fail. We might get some early success and go, oh, stop, I can't take any more, but you still need to keep going. It's guaranteed to fail if you quit before your marketing has a chance to be able to acquire those customers for you. So we have to really be all in or all out. It's going to cost some money, and it's kind of that simple. 6 to 12 months to get results. If you quit sooner than that, you're guaranteeing that you're never really going to have any kind of meaningful growth. You might get a customer here, a customer there, but everyone knows that you cannot grow a business to a successful level by simply selling your time for money. Unless you can get $1,500 an hour for 8 hours a day, you can scale it up to that point, but you're still hitting a ceiling. If you've got growth aspirations that want to go way beyond that, if you want to grow an app, for instance, that you want millions of people using, you cannot afford to quit less than 6 to 12 months before you see those results starting to come through in a successful funnel with momentum that's got people coming in, testing out your product, using your product, paying for your product, and then renewing that product over and over again. It does take time. So now we look at choosing your weapon, choosing how you're going to do all this. There's lots of channels for achieving growth in terms of your customer base and your user base. And some of that will be things like email newsletters, which are a really successful way of the early adoption part of it. Then there's social media, which is the way to really amplify that message out, because we know the numbers, we're very familiar with them. Nearly 3 billion people, nearly half the planet using Facebook's family of apps. So you know that there's lots of people there. And then going on to things like paid reach. So you're going beyond just organic growth that you're getting for free through your Facebook profile, your Instagram profile, your LinkedIn profile, your Google My Business profile, and actually paying for things like Google ads, LinkedIn ads, Facebook ads, TikTok ads. If you can afford them, they're actually quite bloody expensive, those things. So making sure that you have it in mind that there's free things you can do and there's paid things. And the advantage of these, I guess, is that with email, if this is really effective, if you want to keep your very early efforts on the down low, if you want to keep the early process of what you're going through relatively contained, you don't want too many people to know about what you're doing in case someone copies it. We don't want too many people to know about it in case you fail to deliver. Anything like that, email is a very contained, very precise, and very targeted group of people that you can get to. Now, you can then create a very focused group of your early adopters, your early customers, the people that get on very soon. You see quite often with gyms that first open, they take on their early adopters. They get what they call foundational memberships. And that's a very tight list of people that may only be 50 that they're offering. That's their very early adopters get a special rate, but they also are the people that do a lot of the testing for you. If you've got a piece of software, if you've got a new product, these are the people who are going to give you that early feedback. And you may want to keep them contained to an email list rather than communicating too much with them on social media, because you can contain that message. It doesn't go out there and blow up and get viral before you're ready to absorb all those people. It's also great for telling a lot of stories and giving a lot of product updates. One of the things I love about the Indiegogo or the Kickstarter model of releasing new products is that there's lots of stories get told. There's the story that gets told on the Kickstarter or Indiegogo page that tells you all about the why and how they came up with this idea, how they're building it, how they plan to deliver that product to the masses. They can let you know what the updates are along the way. So I bought a podcast kit called a Manocaster, and it's this big box podcaster. It's got headphones and microphones and the little mixing desk and buttons that you can press and pre-program for sound effects. It's fantastic. I bought it through Kickstarter. It ended up costing me around about $450 Australian for this, but it took me about 6 months to get it because it was still being built. So the story along the way, even though I paid up front and said, yeah, I want to support this up front, when they finally got to the point, they said, yeah, we're now doing this, we're building it, we're going to charge a credit card. I was like, you know what? I want this to happen because I now not just want this product because it's great, but I want it because I believe in the story that the people are actually producing about it. So this, again, in those early stages where you're trying to get those first few customers on for something, communicating something like that across can be really powerful for retaining interest in what you're doing with those very early adopters who are going to be the ones that are essentially paying to get your product fully developed and ironing out the kinks. It's also free. Email's great for that. It's free. So in most cases, you're going to have less than the paid threshold in things like MailerLite or MailChimp or one of those email services, even ActiveCampaign for that matter. So having something for free at the stage where you're still building your product and still building your service model out is great, because that's one less expense you've got when you've got so many expenses going on with just trying to build this business. But the problem with email marketing is that you may not have many email addresses to market to. And in this day and age, we're not really supposed to, with the Spam Act of 2003 at the least, make sure that we're not violating any privacy principles, violating any acts of parliament that say that we can't just buy a list of people who are solar inquiries or buy a list of people who are educational product inquiries and then spam them with information about our particular thing. So it's very important, if you're going to base your early marketing efforts on reaching people for growing a customer base, to make sure that you actually collect email addresses. Collect these things, business cards, and make sure you get all those email addresses down. Even try to segment them if you do. Even if you're not using something like MailChimp, even if you're not using a mailing system, use a spreadsheet and have those email addresses down there. Segment people into the kinds of things they're interested in, or the kinds of things that you potentially could present to them as something of interest. I could look at James from the cinema and say that he's probably not going to be interested in attending any workshops because he volunteers at the cinema and works a full-time job during the day. So what I could probably interest him in is something that's more to do with maybe, I'm looking at a real business card here. I could interest him in maybe one-to-one coaching. I could look at Ruth. Now, Ruth is already working a full-time job in business advisory stuff, so I could probably not sell her a lot of one-to-one stuff because she's not going to have a lot of time, but I could probably get her interested in a workshop where she can attend remotely because she doesn't live in the same market that I live in. So it's then segmenting out those people you meet into what their interests are and what they do. Now, there's customer relationship management systems that do this very well. Things like Agile CRM or HubSpot are very, very good for doing this. And a lot of them either are free or start for free, and then they get big when you get over 1,000 people. In your case, as an early startup in a small business, that's going to start small. This could be a great way of you doing it. But if you want to start really simple, just do it on a spreadsheet, on Google Sheets or Microsoft Excel, and just segment people out, group them into columns and say, these are my hand sanitizer customers. These are my medical mask customers. These are my coaching customers. These are my one-to-one customers. So you then have a little list built in every time you want to send out something like these email updates. Moving on to social media, yes, it's very good at quickly reaching a very big network of people very, very easily. It's great for asking questions of people who know you and who follow you, and creating some kind of feedback loop where there's dialogue coming back from them. There's feedback about what you're doing. You can see whether your pricing is right, whether your colors are right, whether your offering is right, whether what you're doing has any interest at all out there. You'll know quickly through something like social media, because people like to give their opinions on social media. In case you hadn't noticed, there's a lot of opinions flying around, and opinions about your products and your services are very much included in there. Social media is great because it's free. It's also free. It's also doesn't cost you to reach the network of people that you're connected with. Now, in the case of Facebook, you may have a very limited network of people because you want to keep that as a personal place for yourself. You want to keep it private. That's great. On LinkedIn, though, when you're selling to businesses and other professionals, this is a fantastic opportunity for you to grow a much bigger network. You don't have the same kind of limits that you do on Facebook, where 5,000 friends is as much as you can have before you have to go across to a Facebook business page, which then puts you in a position where your page just doesn't seem to reach people at all. But on LinkedIn, organic reach is still very, very strong. And by organic reach, I mean the ability to connect with lots of people and reach them with messages in your inbox is very, very good. I have really targeted my LinkedIn messages down to such a point that I know exactly the kind of thing that they like to read and do. They like it when I tell a story. They like it when I tell a story about an experience I've had. They like it when I tell the story in text, not with pictures, not with videos, just in text. And I know that that works because I post something a week ago and it's still getting likes and shares and follows even now a week later. Unlike Facebook, where it seems if you post something, it goes away and no one ever sees it again. So LinkedIn's very good for that. If you want to build a network of people who have got the ability to take on business services you're providing or products that suit someone who's a professional or in a business, then it's definitely a great place for you to grow it. And yes, it is free as well. There are paid platforms. We'll look at that in a second. But at the moment, LinkedIn's great for organically reaching people with a message that they at least find some interest in. Now, I didn't just come across this overnight. It took me years, since 2014, when I wrote my first LinkedIn article, and it went viral to the effect of, 56,000 views of this particular article. I've then gone, wow, I can see some value in this, but I've never reached those lofty heights again. But now what I'm doing is reaching 56,000 people every 2, 3, 4 weeks on a regular basis, rather than just based on one single article. The downside of social media is that we might have a small social network. We may not have that many connections. And there's lots of growth techniques out there with lots of very good people, especially on the ASBAS program, people like Joe Marie Mini and Sandra Tricoli, and especially, I completely forgot her name, but I'll look her up because she's like a really good LinkedIn growth expert. She is Joe Saunders. She's fantastic at helping people to grow their following on things like LinkedIn. And there's other people like Renee Dembowski in Cairns, who's an ASBAS presenter on Facebook, who's also very good at helping you grow your Facebook following, growing your Facebook audience. We're not going to go into deep detail about how to do that in this particular. This is more an overview of the areas you may want to consider learning more about and doing more work in when it comes to acquiring customers by growing an audience. Now, Social media is also, if you're trying to grow a business, not a particularly private place, if that matters to you. If you're someone who goes, oh, I don't really want my face over everything. Oh, I don't really want to have myself out there too much. I'm a very private person. I like to be behind the scenes. Social media can be a little bit hard for you to step into. If you're a very introverted person, it doesn't come naturally to you to get in front of a camera or to get in front of a microphone and do the stuff I'm doing right now, then you might struggle with social media. For me, this has been a struggle of my own. Naturally introverted, don't particularly like getting in front of a video camera, don't particularly like having lights here to make everything shine a bit brighter so you can see me. It felt ridiculous when I first started doing it. I felt so vain having a ring light here and a ring light there and lighting on the back of me to try and create a bit nicer a background. But eventually you just get past that and you just go, you know what? I'm trying to grow a business here. I'm trying to build a profile here. I'm trying to share information here. The mission that you have for your business is far more important than whether you feel embarrassed about getting in front of a camera. We all think we're fat. We all think we're ugly. We all think we look stupid. We all think our voices sound dumb. You will get past that very quickly. The privacy aspect, though, is something you may not be able to get past. You may find that there's ways for you to reach out on social media that don't necessarily have your face plastered all over everything. That can be through your business pages on LinkedIn, business pages on Facebook, and a business profile on something like Instagram. So think about your level of privacy do you want, whether you want your face plastered over everything or necessarily associated with a product or a business that you have, or whether you're much more happy to sit in the background and let someone else perhaps be that face. You never know. It might be your business, but it might be one of your employees or one of your family members who may be a far better face for you for that sort of thing. And there's nothing wrong with that. Not everyone wants to be on camera. Not everyone feels strong being on camera. If you don't think that's you, you do have some other options. But just be aware that if you want to reach people really quickly, a big lot of people, you're going to do it through social media, especially organically. But the fastest way to get guaranteed traffic is through paid advertising. It's going to be through either paying for TV ads, paying for radio ads, paying for a feature in the local business magazine, paying for a Facebook ads campaign or a LinkedIn ads campaign or something that's going to get you in front of the people you normally wouldn't get in front of. It is the fastest way to generate traffic, and it lets you access those new customers that are outside your usual sphere of influence. The people who are your friends, your family, all those people who you can get in front of anyway, but they're not really working out too well. You can't seem to scale the audience you want to get. You can't seem to scale the amount of customers you want to reach through them. Then you've got to pay to burst through that. And Facebook uses things like the boost button to help you to get in front of more people. So one of the ways they do that is by saying, okay, this particular thing, you tell us the kind of person you want to get and the kind of place you want to get them in. And we'll put 10, 20, 30, 50 bucks on this particular post. And that will force it into people's feeds who we think are the most interested in what you've got to offer here. That's a great way of doing it. Another great way of doing it is, say, for instance, on LinkedIn, using their marketing platform and putting an actual ad in front of them with information. Most ads on LinkedIn are not particularly well done. They're very corporate and very safe. Not many people are doing really spectacularly good stuff on LinkedIn when it comes to ads. So there's an opportunity for you there if you're willing to get in front of a camera and do something a bit more out there and a bit more, not necessarily silly, but do something a bit more high impact. Then you've got a position to be able to get ahead of the pack when it comes to people on LinkedIn. On Facebook, everybody's a loudmouth. Everybody's got flashy graphics and they've got their makeup and their big hair and their big teeth, and they're telling you about how successful they are while standing in front of a yacht. It's a little harder to cut through on that sort of thing. But if you're focusing on a local market, it can be a very good way for you to be able to scale very quickly because you're getting in front of the people you want to know. The Facebook and Google ads platform make up close to 80% of all online paid traffic on the internet. Between the two of them, 80% of all the revenue that's made in online advertising. It's kind of crazy how much they take up in that market. It's because their two platforms are second to none. They're excellent platforms for targeting the right kind of person at the right kind of time with the right kind of message in the right location. So if you want to use those things, they're great because they do let you scale up very quickly by getting your message in front of the right people at the right time in the right place in the manner that you want to do it. And you can also turn that fire hose up to have more money go in to get more reach. Or when you've got, when you want to slow things down, you can turn that fire hose down a bit and then have a much smaller pipe of people coming through at the same time. But it does cost money. It is going to cost you money. And that money can scale as well. You can start off in a local area, smaller, somewhere like Toowoomba, and you're able to reach people within, say, 17 to 50 kilometers around Toowoomba. That might end up being about 250 to 300,000 people. And you can do that for maybe $10 a day quite comfortably, which equates to around about $300 a month. Now, that's not a ridiculous amount, but when you start to scale that out and say, I now want to reach people, not just in Toowoomba, but I want to reach them in Gladstone. I want to reach them in Busselton. I want to reach them in Geraldton, Alice Springs, maybe Palmerston outside of Darwin. Then you're starting to dilute that. You're starting to dilute not just your message, but you're also starting to dilute the amount of places that your money can carry you. Whereas before, with $300 going to Toowoomba per month, you're going to have all of that value going into that one area. So there's much bigger chance of the people you want to reach being reached there. Once you start diluting that out and your 300,000 adds another 40,000 here, another 100,000 there, another 23,000 there, another 32,000 there, you're starting to go, okay, now that budget's got to reach people in a lot more different locations than just this one. So yes, it is going to cost money, but also, there's no real guarantee that that traffic that's going to come through to you, whether it's for a lead form, a landing page, a messaging request on Facebook or Instagram, or a lead form that's on Facebook, or some kind of location or action that you want people to take, we don't necessarily know that the traffic that's coming through there is going to be good quality buy now traffic. In fact, in the very early stages of any advertising campaign, it's probably not going to be good buy now traffic. It's going to be brand awareness traffic, curious people, tire kickers, people who are going to go, hey, that's an interesting thing. I'll take a quick look, but not actually do anything about it. They'll take a quick look and may not come back again. These platforms do allow you to do what something's called remarketing. And remarketing or retargeting is a way of going, okay, you watched my 1 minute video, you watched 15 seconds of it. That in internet time is a lot of time. So I understand that you probably have some kind of interest in what I'm doing in this video. Great. So now that I know you've watched that for 15 seconds, I want to send you a second ad, which is more direct. So since you're interested in this, this is how you buy it. And that's probably the greatest power of internet advertising at the moment, for paid traffic at least, is the ability to be able to retarget people who have viewed your videos, who have visited your website before, or a particular page on your website before. Facebook and Google are both excellent at that. If you ever noticed, if you go and look for, say, an airfare on Virgin or Jetstar or any airline, really, even Qantas, how for the next 2 hours or day or so that you'll see ads for those particular flights to that particular location showing up as you're moving around news sites and other places on the World Wide Web. That's remarketing and retargeting. It's taken, oh, look, this person's interested. Let's deliver them more messages to help them get them across the line, rather than just having them interested in looking at flights, actually going through and completing that purchase. Happens all the time with online stores. You go and look at clothing that you want to buy online through an online retailer, you will be retargeted for ads on Facebook, on Google's network of ads all around the internet, reminding you that you have an interest in that particular retailer. A very clever example is that I looked at I've been looking for about 6 months at getting a little lapel microphone to get better quality audio for my videos. And so I keep looking at this one particular one from Sabine Tech, which is, to me, it's a little overpriced. It's going to cost me about $230 to get it. I don't really know if I want it that badly, but I keep looking at it, keep watching their videos, keep coming across their stuff. And just yesterday, I just got to the point where, I'm sick of seeing, I'm going to say that I no longer want to see them on Facebook anymore. I'm over it. I don't want to spend the money. So what happened instead is that now every time I go to a property that's got Google ads on it, I'm constantly getting pounded with ads for this microphone because I went to their bloody website to check out the price once, and now I've been what they call pixeled, or I've been tagged as a potential customer to be retargeted to. Now, whilst that's annoying because it's been happening over 6 months, there's still a great deal of power in that retargeting. It is a great way to scale out the initial audience who sees your stuff. It's an even greater way of scaling it back down to the people who have shown a defined interest in your product. There's a very good chance I will still buy that microphone at some point when I finally get across the line to do it. I'm just feeling a bit shy about it because it's not a brand I know, and it seems a little overpriced for a no brand. But you never know. I could still buy it, and that's what they're counting on. That's why they keep delivering that ad through to me. So when it comes to newsletters, when we're talking about the ability to send out email to people, newsletters are particularly powerful because they allow you to tell the story you want to tell it, the way you want to tell it. And it gives you a bit more room to tell that story. In a newsletter, you can tell the story behind a product, its construction, the people at your company, the story behind why you formed the business that you formed. You can tell all sorts of stuff. You've got tons of room in there to do it. But you've also got the ability to add what are called calls to action. And a call to action is where you go from, here's my story so you feel close to me. Here's what my product's about so you know whether it suits you. Now, here's a call to action, usually in the form of a button and a statement that says, you can't afford to live this way any longer. It's time to get a good financial planner. And then a button says, book me now. A strong call to action in there allows people to go across from being just curious and receiving a newsletter to acting on that and becoming a paid client. This is how you acquire customers, through email newsletters. You get their email address, you send them material that builds a relationship over time in the hope that they don't just immediately block you off or put you in their spam folder. How do you get around that? Usually by producing stuff in the newsletter that actually has some value to them. It's not just going newsletter, here's my special this week, get 10% off. It's about exploring the things behind that particular kind of person that would solve the problems that they have in their day-to-day life that pertain to what your product or service is. If you are a chief financial officer, accountant, bookkeeper, something like that, then the problem you solve for someone is that you are a bookkeeper, a chief financial officer, or an accountant. The problem you solve for people is time. A lack of time to do their own books, a lack of time to file their own tax returns and BAS. So what you're talking to about is the things that they will do in the time they've saved, the extra value that comes to their life because they no longer have to spend time in their books and submitting tax returns and looking at the BAS returns all the time. So a newsletter can be powerful, but it has to be very well written and targeted to the survival instinct of the person it's going to the what's in it for me instinct of the person it's going to, and how you enhance their life rather than a big list of products and services and prices. They'll find that. They'll know where to find that on your website. They'll know where to find that to call you. You don't need to explain all that. What you do need to explain there is how you help their life be better. When it comes to social media, really in this country, there's only a few social media that really count for businesses to grow on. The number one obviously is Facebook because it's so ubiquitous and it's so common across so many people. Yes, it rises and falls in terms of its favor, but people still come on back to it. We're very invested in our Facebook profiles. I would say secondarily, maybe Instagram is a very effective place to advertise, particularly if your product or service is very good for impulse buying online. You've got something which costs $5 and you want to sell 1 million of them, great. You can sell that sort of thing through Instagram quite successfully. For more deep ongoing services such as accountants, bookkeepers, coaches, advisors, people like that, then Instagram probably not as great a place to go, simply because it's very much about quick, short, sharp, interesting, too long, didn't read, now you've lost my interest, now I'm gone. So maybe Instagram, if you've got like a fast moving consumer good, something can be impulse bought. I'm talking about things that are well under $100. But when it comes to something that's going to be a bit bigger, a bit more of a high value thing that has a lot of effect for people who own businesses, who are quite high powered people in government organizations, not-for-profits and corporations, then LinkedIn is very good for you to be able to reach people because those people are there to do business. They're not on LinkedIn to waste time. They're not on LinkedIn to look at pictures of cats falling off skateboards. They're there specifically to be talking about business, learning about business, sharing with a community of other business owners. So social media, yes, while it is a very, very good place to go, there's certain social media that's kind of a waste of your time. And at the moment, if you're trying to sell something quickly, I wouldn't be doing it on TikTok. TikTok's a great branding opportunity for you. If you're a lighthearted, cool little brand, or someone who's trying to rebrand yourself from being very, very staid and very, very old fashioned to something a bit more cool and hip, TikTok's great for that. But the ads platform they've got in place right now is not mature enough for you to be selling lots of fast moving consumer goods in an ad format. They say about TikTok, don't create ads, create TikToks. That is absolutely correct. If you're not creative enough to pull off the kind of ad that doesn't look like an ad, but it's very entertaining and very engaging and will get millions of people wanting to look at it rather than swipe it away, then go for it. You could probably do some great things on TikTok, but just realize that it gets you traffic and lots of views, but it doesn't necessarily get you customers. It's great though for branding you, for getting your brand out there, for getting your name out there, and for getting people to recognize who you are. Just bear in mind, those people are not likely to be in the market you're serving. They're likely to be other places in Australia that you don't serve or all around the world. And when it comes to paid traffic and buying ads, there's really only, I'd say, 3 platforms that are really the foolproof ways to go when it comes to buying ads. And they're the ones I talk to are mostly about. The Facebook and Instagram ads platform on boosting or promoted posts. Then there is Google Ads, which is fantastic for people who are looking right now for what it is you do, but your website doesn't come up in the first few results. You can pay to get yourself into those first few results. And the cost of it varies depending upon the level of competition you're up against and how much you're willing to spend. Google Ads can get very, very expensive. $1,700 we spent in 3 days over a particular solar battery installation campaign for a particular electrical contractor in the Darwin region I was working with last week. Now, it worked out really well with him, $1,700 there, another $700 on Facebook ads, and he made well over $300,000 worth of sales there. It was an amazing result for him, but he did have to front up that over $2,000 worth of ads costs to make that well over $300,000. Great return, but it took a great investment as well. If you'd like to know more about the process of acquiring customers, I'd love to chat to you more about it. You can get hold of me through the ASBAS Digital Solutions program, but to get that, you probably just need to contact me first so I can direct you in the right place. That is my email address, my Facebook address, and my LinkedIn address. LinkedIn's a great place to reach me, even more than email, because I've got lots of emails on lots of different screens, but LinkedIn seems to get me first. I don't know why I seem to react better for LinkedIn, but yeah, if you can, get hold of me there. This particular video will be playing again on YouTube. And if you're watching this on YouTube, hi, thank you for watching. Leave a comment below if you'd like to ask some more questions, or subscribe to my channel if you'd like to know more as well. It'll be available on Business Station's YouTube channel and my own one under my name, Dante St. James. I do hope to see you again in these free webinars. They're really good, valuable information coming to you from lots of different people. Check them out at businessstation.com.au. Thank you very much and have a fantastic week.